Hello and welcome to Rock Paper Shotgun. Now exciting times are afoot in Warframe as the big Fortuna update fast approaches. It's due for release in November and I was recently given a tour of its new open world area, Orb Vallis, and shown some of the new features. If you've already seen our Fortuna video from TennoCon, this footage shows off some of the ideas more clearly, and we've got loads more info on everything from hoverboards to bounties to the new Warframe Garuda and her magic wall of blood, which is as awesome as it sounds. Lots to get through, so let's jump on the K drive and do it. Say hello to the Orb Vallis, if you can defrost your lips to talk, that is. Considering this is on the surface of Venus, you might find the frosty climate a bit unusual. The average temperature is meant to be 464 degrees Celsius. But in this fictional universe, the planet was visited by the Orokin, who are basically the Roman Empire of Warframe, who terraformed it with coolant towers. These went haywire and turned it into a permanent winter. Might be a potential solution to Earth's own ecological woes. Having shown they could handle open world areas in Plains of Eidolon, the aim here was to create a planet with some Orokin flair, the mixture of fantastical nature like forests of giant mushrooms and huge alien-made structures looming on the horizon. Whip out your trusty Archwing and you get a sense for how massive the space is, but also how much more varied it is than the last area, a world that put the plane in plains. As I watch this footage, I'm actually reminded of what BioWare are trying to do with Anthem. Flying over these incredible mountain peaks really does look as epic as that game's jetpack-powered fun. In fact, the more I think about it, the more Anthem's javelin suits begin to look and behave like Warframe's Warframes. The big difference is that this is free to play, and Anthem isn't. There are also vast cave networks hidden beneath the surface. These hide unique ecosystems, which means you can find rare species of animals and fish. More on them in a second. There are even hoverboard race courses that take you through them, which sounds like a recipe for concussion to me. All this is good, but I'm more interested in seeing a world that feels more like a world. All the activities aside, I think there's going to be a sense of discovery here that I never quite got in the Plains of Eidolon. Also, if the plains were a playground for the Grineer enemy faction, then Venus is all about the Corpus. Think of an evil capitalist robot army stripping the universe of its ancient technology. They've mined giant bases deep into the landscape where they extract the secrets of the Orokin and do experiments on the local wildlife. It really is a crime to deface an ecosystem as impressive looking as this, so it's good inspiration to go and smash them up. And what better way to stick it to capitalist pigs than, fishing? Yes, that's right, I'm gonna take all your robot fish. That'll teach you for oppressing the people. Unlike planes, the fish here are made of metal, so traditional spearfishing is swapped for an EMP-based version. You sit on the bank, target a mechanical mackerel, and throw your spear. This time you have to hit the pulse marker on a swing meter to zap the fish and grab it. Unlike flesh fish, these aren't rated on size, but are valued based on how much you damage them during retrieval. Look at that beauty. That's the best robo-cod since James Pond. There are 14 species of fish to hunt at launch, but the activity is not as necessary to progress through the wider area as it was in Plains of Eidolon. Sounds like it can be more of a hobby, which is a jolly way to spend a few hours. If you prefer your animals with a bit more meat on their bones, you can also take part in conservation missions. At launch, there are 5 species to rescue from the Corpus, which involves finding a location you can lure them from. The hunting interface at the top of the screen tells you if one is nearby. Once at that spot, you call to the animal with an echo lure. You need to use this to replicate their call and convince them that you are a small fluffy animal and not a 7-foot tall death machine. Successfully trick those dumb beasts and you can sneak up and tranquilize them. It looks like a nice change of pace from the endless murdering elsewhere, more focused on stealth and creeping through the weird landscape. As fun as EMP spears and echo lures are, I imagine the thing most people are here to see is the K-Drive, Warframe's answer to the hoverboard. The board is given to you by Vent Kids, a gang of orphaned mini Banksies who live in the city below and make a terrible racket with homemade drums. It's a good thing you can go to the surface to get away from that horrible noise. What with Orb Vallis' vast size, the K-Drive is a necessity to get from A to B, although riding it does let you perform tricks which earns you standing with the Vent Kids. They're basically a small side syndicate with their own K-Drive gear and mods to purchase in exchange for impressing them. A little trick meter in the bottom corner makes you think Warframe is turning into Tony Hawk's in space, the only place he's allowed to skate after stinking up Earth with the dreadful Pro Skater 5. But the systems are much friendlier than those games. You are magnetised to rails for easy grinding, and tricks are more about flourishes as you thunder forwards at speed. As you unlock more boards and mods, you'll be able to go even faster, which is an enticing reward. Find a vent kid out in the wilderness and they'll challenge you to race a fixed course. Hitting light gates along the route doesn't look too tricky, but performing tricks lets you propel your board over impossible gaps for even better times. It's nice to see Digital Extremes making better use of all that space they've built. An open world is meaningless without fun to fill it after all. You will also be able to use your K-Drive in Plains of Eidolon, but when I asked the team if they'll be adding races or the ability to earn vent kids standing there is no clear answer. Things tend to evolve in Warframe to fit the fan interest, so I guess we'll see if the K-Drive scene really takes off. The meat of your time on Orb Vallis will be spent doing bounties. These are the grindy meat and potatoes of the open world that earn you standing with the Solaris United, who are the workers trapped in debt to the corpus. Bounties change in a couple of really smart ways. For starters, you can now collect bounties out in the open. You don't have to return to Fortuna as you had to return to Cetus in Plains of Eidolon. Once you are out roaming, you can keep on roaming and racking up those tasks, well until you hit the standing cap for the day. The bounties themselves are a bit more freeform. It's still a lot of kill X of X, but you can do them anywhere in the map, not just in fixed areas dictated for no real reason. They'll also have bonus objectives for bigger rewards. In our demo, the bounty is to kill 30 enemies, with a special pat on the back if you do it in less than 3 minutes. Okay, these aren't world-changing ideas, but anything to give the grind a bit more energy or motivation has to be welcomed. If you're a new player coming to Warframe fresh, you should be able to get to the fun quite fast too. Once you arrive at Fortuna, and Venus is the third planet in the game, so you should get there pretty quickly, there'll be a quick introduction bounty, and then there's enough bounties to earn what's needed for the basic gear. Your spear and conservation goods should be with you soon. Warframe has a reputation for eating hundreds of hours, but you should be able to get a good feel for what's here in decent time. This next point is not specifically tied to the Fortuna update. Its release dates are still up in the air, but let's quickly talk about the Warframe used during our demo. This is the 37th Warframe to be added to the game, called Garuda. In the team's own words, she has a blood mage meets gore theme. What this translates to is a rather sinister character whose entire moveset is about blood, not just spilling it, but using it for herself. Her first ability, for example, grabs an enemy, tears them in half, and sucks their blood into a shield that blocks incoming damage from the front. When you grow bored of a shield made of your enemy's blood, not that you ever would grow bored of that, you can throw the blood back at other enemies. Imagine how cross you'd be if someone threw your friend's blood in your face. I'd be really cross. She can also consume half her own health pool to cover herself in blood. It gives her extra energy to use for her other abilities, and also boost her damage. As her attacks get stronger, the less health she has. It's a risk-reward mechanic that is nicely balanced by her second ability, that causes a giant spike to impale enemies and start bleeding them dry, turning it into health for anyone who stands in the nearby radius. So the art to mastering Garuda hinges on balancing health and power, judging when best to take a hit and when to replenish. It looks like devilish fun. And if all that's too subtle for you, you just need to whip out her ultimate attack, which surrounds her with a mass of rotating blades. She basically becomes a walking blender, churning up anything she comes in contact with. Time for a special Corpus-themed episode of Will It Blend? The answer, of course it'll blend. It will blend horribly. As I said, it's not guaranteed that she'll turn up alongside the Fortuna update, but all that bloody red would look wonderful against the crisp white snow.
Kill sticks like you've never seen, stranger. Click, bang, their limbs fall off.
There are lots of other features due in Fortuna, many of them covered in our earlier video, and there's a link to that in the description. As well as all this good new stuff, there's the city of Fortuna itself, where you can piece together secondary weapon kit guns, which is a ranged riff on the modular melee weapons you build on Cetus. Or there's the option to build your own mower, a bipedal mini-mech that helps out in combat. In a delightful touch, you can install an emotional core to change the mower's personality as it appears in sounds and animations. I don't know about you, but I fancy owning a really sensitive killing machine. There's also the planet's alert system that raises the more carnage you cause. The more havoc you make, the higher the level and the more enemies spawn. You can slow down the alert rise by shooting alert markers as they call in guards, but to become truly safe you need to break out of combat and cool off somewhere safe. Very GTA. There are also the Orb Weavers, the giant robot spiders that lurk on the planet's surface. We didn't actually see these in the footage, but these are meant to act like the giant Eidolon creatures in Plains of Eidolon. At launch you'll only be fighting 3 smaller species, and then the big daddies will be introduced down the line. Apparently they require teamwork and a hint of subterfuge to bring down, which is an intriguing description. I wonder if we'll end up boarding them like scarabs in Halo 3. That would be amazing. But all this is yet to be investigated in full, which won't take that long as the Fortuna update is due to arrive in November. We'll definitely be digging into it when it does. So please do subscribe if you enjoyed this video or found it useful. If you have any questions about what we saw and heard, do pop them in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them. Now I better get back to daydreaming about K-drives and giant robot spiders. Hopefully see you soon. Bye for now.